Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, and welcome to Body and Soul Awareness with Stephanie and Oxana. Tonight for a discussion on the path of soul evolution for self-mastery in body, mind, and soul. Here are your hosts.
Hello, Stephanie. Hello everyone.
Oxana.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm actually in the mountains on a nice little vacation away from it all. This is our first time doing our show apart, so I'm kind of excited to see how it'll go. And we actually haven't talked a lot in the past few days, so I'm sure there's a few things that we have to catch up on.
I know. It's this show will be a little bit different since we are apart for the first time. And I am unfortunately not with you because I would love to be up in the mountains, but I had to have some time to myself. And since I've been traveling to Miami this past week, I needed time away and just recoup from everything. So,
definitely
understandable. I
Yeah.
know, and we haven't talked in a while, you're right. So it will be good to catch up as well.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a great show. I'm really excited to talk to our special guest. But I guess first, do you want to review last week's homework and how that went for you?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did the homework about teeth. And I actually used tea from our previous show that we've discussed with Mina. And my tea was Holy Basil Trio. And I had it last night and today. And it was very relaxing. And I had actually done a little bit of internal work this past couple of days. I've had another shift within. So I think that tea actually assisted just nicely with the process. So that was good for me. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. What type of tea did you have?
Okay, so luckily we had an awesome guest on last week, Minna from the Hemp Kettle Tea Company, and she left me one of the teas that we had tried. It was this spicy lemon ginger turmeric tea. And the reason that I thought to drink this is because turmeric is really, really good for joints. And my fingers have been hurting so bad lately. And I want to say it's because of years and years and years of typing. It's also from I've done so many things. I've always liked to craft things. I actually used to have, I used to make bows. I used to make jewelry. There's all these things that I used to do that require really tiny, intricate hand movements. And so needless to say, after years and years of that, and then, son is in my arms because he doesn't like to be put down. I only have one hand to do anything, right? So
oh my gosh, that's right.
On my smartphone, right? So I advertise for business on the smartphone. I communicate to people on the smartphone. Just all of the texting. I swear that's going to cause so many problems for all these kids that started out at a young age.
And they start.
Right. When did we start using smartphones? I don't know, 2000, mid-2000, they were smartphones.
Yeah, maybe 10 years ago.
And they were mainstream. Yeah, but I mean, what was that? I was 25 before it was a big deal to have a smartphone. So now my son, who's 15, is already on his smartphone. So I'm kind of worried about the ramifications of him using it for so long. But anyways, I digress, as I usually do. But anyways, it's good for joint pain. So I thought, hey, let me have some of this tea. And it's worked wonders. I really actually like the way it tastes, too. It's not just good for you. So that's always good, too.
How long, were you drinking a couple of nights in a row, or like how did you
well, I started, because my hands have been hurting for a while, but I started on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm almost out of tea, Minna, so I'm going to have to call you and get some more. but yeah,
I'm sure she's listening.
And I drank about two cups a day, not huge cups of tea, just like small teacups. About a tablespoon of the tea. Now, it's not fully turmeric, so I did add a little bit of my own turmeric because I buy the turmeric in a root, and I'll just shave a little bit off into my tea and add it in the steeping process and drink it. So it's definitely been beneficial.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I love tea. I always drink tea. I enjoy coffee, but I definitely am trying to stay away from it more now. So, yeah, I'm leaning more towards teas.
Yeah, it's hard because coffee is so ingrained into our daily lives, I think. And it's one of those things, you wake up, you brew a pot of coffee, you have coffee before you leave the house, then on your way to work, you stop at 7-Eleven or Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, whatever your restaurant of choice, and you get coffee. And then you drink coffee on the way to work, and then when you get to work, you drink more coffee, and everybody's super wired, and then by lunchtime, everybody's ready to die.
Exactly, and then they want more coffee and more coffee. And it continues.
Right. Yeah. Well, but the thing is with tea, you still have to remember that tea has caffeine in it. So when you're drinking the herbal teas as opposed to a real tea, it's better generally because you don't have the caffeine. But the good thing is if you're trying to wean yourself off of coffee, you can use tea as a way to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I will be doing now. One step at a time.
Yeah, and then eventually you detox and your body doesn't want it. So.
Yeah, it's simply just taking certain things away from yourself that are not necessarily good for you, and the body will adjust because that's how it works. And especially because that's actually not a natural thing for it anyway.
Exactly.
So that's good. Yeah.
So I just want to remind everyone, like I so often forget to do, I remember this time, I want everyone, if you have any questions or if you just want to listen in on your phone, you can call the guest call-in number. It is 347-324-3704. And then also if you want to talk to us live on the chat, you can go to www.freedomizerradio.com, and you can join us on the chat there.
And, Steph, can you remind me when the caller calls in, what do I click on?
You know what?
Do I click on the microphone?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
But,
actually, it looks
see how we work?
Yeah. Well, actually, it looks like she's on the line now. So let's go ahead and give her a lovely introduction and then get Shanti-Elizabeth on. So Shanti's unique background includes expertise in cellular, molecular biology, and genetics, and a very unique evolutionary path in the past 10 years that includes crystalline grid work to balance frequency and energies for the current shift. We will also be exploring critical balance needed at the subatomic particle levels for the human body perspective and view of evaluating and maintaining the energy body and coexisting to create love, peace, harmony, and balance by living from the heart space to nurture humanity and nature to evolve with our planet in gratitude. Man, that sounds lovely. Oh, so
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I've known Elizabeth Shanti for a few years. She's a very beautiful soul. I love all the time that I get to spend with her, and I wish I had more time to spend with her, but of course we're busy, so we don't have a lot of time. But she's always in my heart, and I love her dearly. How do you know Shanti?
Well, it's been quite a bit of years, just like for you. Well, Shanti definitely became a spiritual sister to me, so I've known her for some time, and we connect here and there, and we always, continuously stay in touch. We've done some work together, and she's a beautiful soul, and I'm so thankful that she's, found time and she's able to come in and speak of a very deep topic, actually, and share details with us. And I have plenty of questions to ask myself, and I'm looking forward. So I welcome her. She's a wonderful, beautiful soul that is, I'm happy to have her in my life.
Wonderful. Yes.
So we're ready for her? Should I click on the microphone?
Yeah, totally. Let's go ahead and bring her on. I can't wait anymore. I'm so excited. We have so much to talk about.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Shanti, how are you?
I'm
Hi.
great. How are you?
Beautiful. I'm just
good.
looking out the
We're
window
so
at the mountain.
I am kind of looking at him.
I was going to say I'm first envious of the fact that you're on the mountain, and second, I'm really grateful to be on a call with two superb women who are on this evolutionary path.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, Shanti. Thank you.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here with us, too.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Very much.
There's a lot of things going on right now, and I think maybe this discussion will help a few people understand a little bit better the shifts that are happening and how we kind of go with the flow of those shifts.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think that it is really important at this moment to look into the balancing all aspects of your life because of the shifts that are happening, and we all go through those shifts at different paces. And so I thought it might be very useful, because I have this background in cellular and molecular biology, to also talk a little bit about the stress that goes on in the physical body, and couple that with how we can also work on the mind and live our life purposefully, fulfilling our soul's purpose and our path. If your listeners are on this call, obviously they're in alignment with this. Many people are awakening right now and looking for a way to build their soul's evolutionary path. It's a huge topic, so I thought it would be great to give a little summary on what my perspective is, and then we can just dialogue it and go from there. How does that sound?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So I just wanted to start out by saying, I think everybody on this call may be familiar with the fact of the macro universe, the universe on a whole that's out there, and the micro universe, which is what's within us. At the subatomic level, we're all made of energy and we have different vibrations. But for the purposes of practical discussions, I wanted to bring that subatomic level of energy body to the cellular level, because our body is made up of trillions and trillions of cells. And I thought, because of, of the expertise I have in learning this for years and years in my biology background, I could give a unique perspective on what's happening to us at the physical body and the mental body while these shifts are going on right now with regards to how much light's coming in, how our evolutionary path as a planet and humanity is going on.
Okay.
What you will realize, go ahead.
I have a question for you. Just for our listeners that don't know what a shift means, can you give a breakdown of what that is?
I am also on this path for the 10 years. I am not as experienced as many other people who have been on it since they've been, very young. I kind of had a wake-up call. What a shift means is a change in vibration from one level to the other. And right now, if you look for information on Facebook or on Google on the different things that are happening, you will note that people are talking about, different astrological formations are bringing in different energies, and people are channeling different vibrations that are coming in. So it's a huge topic, but for me, a shift means an energetic shift in your physical environment, in your mental environment, and in your spiritual environment. That means, when, for instance, earlier, Oxana, you were saying you were going through an internal shift. So that is one level of the shift. But at the planetary level, there's also an evolutionary path that's taking place where you will notice, there are many things going on the planet that might make you think that what's going on here, with the Brussels incident, and the humanity is going through some crazy things right now. So how do you manage with that, those shifts that are happening?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you stay aligned? Yeah. How do you stay aligned with the spiritual aspect of what's going on? And that is different for each person. People have different belief systems, and I respect all of those systems. But in the end, it is about what's your soul evolution and how we balancing that on our daily life. So.
Right. So, okay, Shanti, for a second. Just for a second, are we ready to go for a break, or we have some minutes, Steph?
We have about 10 minutes before the break, so we're good.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. I'm so sorry. Let's
Great.
go.
Yeah. So since that is a huge topic, I thought what would be more useful would be to bring it down to a more like a contained level, to just talk about the topic with regards to me as a person. How do I handle my physical evolution, my mental evolution, and my spiritual evolution? Because all of those things are changing and going through upgrades, as you would say. You're not the person you were last week or a year ago.
Well, exactly.
Or yesterday, even.
Yeah, and we always say when you want to go out, you got to go in, because it's impossible to know what's out there, all of it, because it's so hard to get to know yourself. And going in is much closer to you than going out. So we're learning from within who we are. Relearning, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's funny, because that's definitely been a big part of my process, is realizing that it's not about, all the books and all the teachings and all the things that I've learned have definitely been an integral part of my growth. But until I started to go inside, I really didn't get to the root of anything.
Right. And so, and in that path, you have both, for instance, in this business that you have set up for yourself in this natural well-being, what has, I want to take care of myself, without the pollutants that are constantly bombarding us. And, and so as the physical body is bombarded by these pollutants at a cellular level, you have what's, I would call a technical term in molecular biology is oxidative stress. You might say, well, what is that? That means you're bombarded by free radicals left and right, from air pollution, from water pollution, from chemical pollutions, from radiation, from the cell phone to the power lines to the TV to microwaves, laptops. How many of us can live without these things in the modern society?
I have 3 of them in front of me right now.
Yes. And this is not even including the food that we eat and the drinks that are bottled drinks and all of those things. So that is an overwhelming concentration of free radicals that affect us on a daily basis. And now our body is this amazing vehicle that can take care of a lot of these issues at the cellular level called oxidative stress. But over time, when you expose yourself, and sad to say, we are all exposed to it at a great level in this day and age because of all the quote unquote comforts we have. So how do we handle that stress along with a majority of humanity has a lifestyle where you have a job, you go to that job. Many people don't enjoy it, but they do it because that's the system we live in to be able to support the children and to exist in that environment.
Right.
So the key word that goes between all three, the body, the mind, and the spirit, is how do we balance? How do we maintain equilibrium to live a life that we can be in a loving space, in a peaceful place, in harmony, not just for ourselves, but for the environment, where the oxidative stress is also in the environment. Every biological system that has energy of life in it is affected by the stress. So it's not just our bodies, it's the animals, it is the plants, it's every living biological system has this stress. So where do we start? A lot of people are living unconsciously, Right. So the good news is, let's not focus on what is not, but to focus on what we do have.
Yeah.
So my philosophy is, okay, let's focus on, okay, how can we take care of our body? How can we take care of our mind? How can we take care of our spiritual path? And that's why I was saying that, you both are very brave to put this show together and talk about your passions of helping others to get on that path. Having the nutritional support knowledge is so important for one to have that balance in the body. Having that movement and that energetic balance in our, for those of your listeners that know what the chakra system is, and to have balance in that energy body, the work with Oxana does, that would be important. Listening to positive, conversation, living in a positive way. So many people just want to have, just to want to be acknowledged that they exist, and many people don't even have that. So the other thing, go ahead.
Well, but I mean, it's a good deep topic. It's just
right.
Just like
so I want, Well, just like I've mentioned, I've gone through so many shifts, and yet again, I've gone through another shift just recently that I'm still, going through, comprehending it, Right.
Because you are literally changing. Everything within you changes, and you have to still live in this world, but you are different.
Right. So Oxana, what you're saying is it's a process, right? So it's not a stagnant thing. Yeah. No, and that's the amazing thing. A lot of people don't realize it, but it is a huge process. So when this last 10 years, so I would say it has been an incredible journey from from going into detox in all the 3 levels to understanding what my life's purpose is, and then taking a decision and saying, yes, I'm going to do this. And working in that way, in a partnership with myself and Gaia, the planet, to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do this is part of my soul evolution. And the reason I felt really compelled to come on this show that you and Stephanie are having is because I felt at least, the listeners who are listening to your show knows that this is nothing strange. We're all at different points of our evolution. And the first thing is recognizing that your soul has an evolution and taking responsibility for it. Because if we don't take responsibility, then we do not have the urge to learn about something new when it's presented to us. Because we are not only teachers, but we're also students all the time, learning from others. And some of the best lessons we learn are from kids. They'll just they'll just say it as it is. The other piece is the other piece is about empowerment. I feel that all of us as individuals have to feel empowered to live in this world in a harmonious way. We don't have harmony on the planet right now. And while we can sit there and complain about it, I'd rather, even if it's just a small proportion of us, let's focus on living harmoniously and educating ourselves to how can we exist in a harmonious way and live our life, respect everyone and their beliefs, and coexist. A lot. Those bumper stickers, coexist.
Coexist.
Yeah.
Just like it is, it means a lot. It's not just a word, It is not just, go ahead.
Well, because from my perspective, to understand deeply, on a deeper level, that concept of coexisting, you have to really comprehend who you are, like on a bigger level who you are, because we are it, we are all it. So the separation is just an illusion. It's part of what happened. So you have to comprehend that to really open up your heart to your neighbor and everything, because when you know your neighbor is you, literally you, just in a different physical form, then why would you want to hate yourself?
Right. And that is the beautiful part of that process, isn't it? Like, when you get awakened and something is not right, I got to find out more. And so you dive into that process of reading and learning and experiencing, and then you realize, oh my God, I am just another you. I am one with you at those levels. So what was I having a fuss about this whole time? What was the separation about?
Right.
So,
all right. Well, Shanti,
we have to
we're
take
going
a
to go
break for a few minutes.
Yes.
So
we're going to go to a break.
Just 1 second. We're going to go ahead and do some commercials, and we will be right back with you.
Okay. So I'll stay on the line.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
How would you like to make your work more enjoyable, be more creative and relaxed, all while sitting at your desk? That's exactly what my Serenity Rug has done for me. This revolutionary footrest, I can't even call it a footrest, because this thing encourages movement of your feet, which results in more blood flow. While traditional footrests advocate the motionless placement of your feet, I found that I'm unconsciously digging my feet into the long, soft grass strands of the Serenity Rug. It delivers an incredibly relaxing sensation that closely resembles the feeling of an exotic foot massage. If you have ever had a foot massage that made you want to stay there for hours, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not heard about the Serenity Rug, check them out at serenityrug.com and join the exclusive Serenity Rug community and enjoy a feeling of comfort and relaxation that most will never experience. They've sold out before, so I suggest you do your feet a favor and grab one of these. Again, that's serenityrug.com. How would you like to make your work more enjoyable, be more creative and relaxed, all while sitting at your desk. That's exactly what my Serenity rug has done for me. This revolutionary footrest, I can't even call it a footrest because this thing encourages movement of your feet, which results in more blood flow. While traditional footrests advocate the motionless placement of your feet, I found that I'm unconsciously digging my feet into the long, soft grass strands of the Serenity rug. It delivers an incredibly relaxing sensation that closely resembles the feeling of an exotic foot massage. If you have ever had a foot massage that made you want to stay there for hours, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not heard about the Serenity Rug, check them out at serenityrug.com and join the exclusive Serenity Rug community and enjoy a feeling of comfort and relaxation that most will never experience. They've sold out before, so I suggest you do your feet a favor and grab one of these. Again, that's serenityrug.com.
I like the way you grow it, no pesticides. I got to box it up. I like the way you grow it, so locally.
Okay.
I got to box it up. I like the way you grow it with no GMOs. I like the way you twerk it, no diggity, no doubt.
We've got squash and peas, pollinator packs for all your bees. Melons you wanna squeeze. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Hey, now that plant looks good. I want to grow it. I want to taste it.
You're my kind of girl.
Yeah. Tomatoes in full effect. Always in full effect. My girl Tilly's in full effect. Yeah. Peaceful Belly Plant Sale, 2014. Yeah.
Search YouTube for Freaks of the Garden. PeacefulBelly.com. Support your local organic farmers.
Okay, we are back on the air. Shanti, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, thank you for holding. All right, let's get right back into it. We're talking about some pretty deep stuff here.
Yes, we were.
So
All
I
right.
guess before we went to for commercial break, we were talking about kind of like the big picture. So
Yes.
I was wondering what you both may think about perhaps giving your listeners some practical information of those three compartments that we spoke about, your body, your mental body, and your spiritual body. And I just wanted to offer that and see how that might go.
Yeah, Shanti, I think that's a great idea. Practical application is always important for all of this stuff because you can know, you can read as many books as you want, you can have as much knowledge as you want, but if you don't do anything with it, what's the point?
Right. And I think the best place to start always in any of these three areas, and some listeners may feel that they're more advanced in their physical health and they feel healthy and they might want to concentrate more on their mental body and their spiritual body. That's fine. And some people may say, you know what, my physical health is not so great. You know, I would like to have more attention on that and work on the other two areas later. All of that is fine, but every single one of them starts with a decision, and that decision is, you know, a very personal decision because this is your life, this is your body, this is your thoughts, and this is your sole purpose. So from the and I'm not just theoretically saying, I'm really speaking this from my own personal experience and, what I went through. So I feel confident in saying I made a decision one day you'll see the topic is wellness, body, mind, soul. That was literally my email address that December when I made the decision to say, I'm never going back to the condition where I felt sick and I felt fed up and enough was enough. So that decision, I implemented it by creating an email address. I was like, every time I see that email address, it's a reminder for me where I was and where I want to go.
Right.
So,
and it puts it out to the universe every time you send an email.
Yes. And so it starts with that decision and that intention.
Right.
If you don't have that, we'll be wishy-washy about it. We'll just go back to our old way of being, our old paradigms, and our old habits. And so each of you know from both of your evolution that both of you at some point made a critical decision that enough was enough. Some event or some thought or something happened. Most of the time that's how it comes up. Something happens in our life and we say, okay, I'm done. This can't go on this way. I have to change. So so if folks on the phone want to write down, step number 1, make a decision. Okay? Step number 2, take responsibility.
Right.
And responsibility is, from my perspective, is every single day taking an inspired action towards that you're working on, whether it be your health, whether it be your mind, and whether it be your spiritual walk. And you might say, well, what is this to do with the mind? So your physical body is approximately 65 to 75% water, okay? Right. So you might think, well, what has that to do with anything? So for folks who are interested in learning about water and the fact that water contains, holds memories, you can, look up, I believe his name is Masaru Emoto. He has done a lot of work on the crystalline level of water and how it holds memory. So can you imagine? So can you imagine living day in, day out in negativity and having negative thoughts go in through your whole body composed of trillions of cells and your body, being about 70% water? What kind of vibration are you holding in those cells? So, yes, so having a balance in your mental body is critical and as important as thinking about your physical body.
Well, how it works. It doesn't appear in your body in the beginning. The disease appears at a later stage. It starts sooner. So that's where.
So remember before commercial break, we were talking about that word oxidative stress? Yes. That is also, so that oxidative stress in our physical body, we can handle it on, a lot of the times, especially when we're young. But as we are growing older, there are a lot of things in our cells that don't get made anymore. Because, you know how kids are, they fall, they can heal very fast, or they had something that made them cry. The next second, they don't even remember what it was. But as we get older, that mental stress and that physical stress affects us very differently from how kids are. So we have to consciously make an effort to take care of that buildup of stress that Oksana was saying. Yeah, you don't see it right away. It's a buildup. And the question is, especially for those people who are young and feel healthy, do you want to have that buildup affect you later on in life? I don't think so. So I think the message is more important for the young people more than anything, because a lot of the older generation, they already have an overwhelming concentration of oxidative stress, and some of them handle it really well because they've taken care of themselves, but some don't. It's what do you call it? Break it and fix it mentality. Let me break my physical body, get sick, and then try to fix it. And that's just not the way we should be doing this.
we're right. That's what I try to tell my son all the time. I'm like, Christian, I have all this amazing information. If you could just follow it, you will be so much healthier than I or anyone around you by the time you're our age.
Well, he has his own path, remember? He has his own path. And there's nothing you can do to, to change that.
Right.
You can.
But that's not true. That's not true because he juices and he does smoothies and he does make smart decisions sometimes. I know he's listening. He's just not totally grasping it yet. He's still
again, Steph, the kids actually who live in that environment where the parents are consciously living, some of them grasp on much faster and some don't, but it's like osmosis, they do listen. So they are at a more of an advantage than folks who Coke every day and, eat, McDonald's every day. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, so it's a process, but he definitely, for instance, Christian definitely has a more advanced understanding. He might resist in some areas, but like you said, he juices, and how many kids juice,
Exactly.
So at the physical level, anyway, at the molecular and cellular level, it is very important to understand that the cell has one wish. It wants to stay in equilibrium, in balance. That means it needs the appropriate nutrition, but it also needs to detox. But it also needs the molecules that it needs to send the messages that it needs to work the pathways that it needs to keep our body in minimum oxidative stress. I can't emphasize enough this word oxidative stress. There's a lot of research on it, and it is important for us, if we are to live in a balanced way as much as possible in the environment we live in, to understand this oxidative stress is a fact of life that we live in. How can we minimize it is what we are striving here for. So, and to do it in a way where we can be in partnership with nature, to recycle and compost and do what needs to be done so that we are living in harmony with nature as well. Even if we're in a suburban living situation, there's so many things we can do to live in harmony with nature. And that is one of the parts that I am learning. I want to learn how to do it because I was not raised in a situation where I could, that was part of my reality. And right now I'm learning. One of the things, Stephanie, you'll be proud of me, that I have made a goal to grow my own herbs and make my own tea.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of the commitments I made this year to do. So it's never too late for anything because I felt that I needed to, I feel so much more called to work with plants now. And I don't have a green thumb. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? So I figured here's the big thing. A lot of people are overwhelmed with things and they're like, oh, I can't do it. This is too big for me. So start small. So I said, okay, I'll start with one plant. All right. I'll just do with one plant, deal with the one plant. So I started planting something small and it actually sprouted and it's a little small plant now. So I'm happy. I'm just started there.
What herb did you pick?
Huh?
What herb did you pick to grow?
Mint and lavender.
Oh, mint. Perfect. Lavender. Those are great for so many things,
And I have a few more on my list.
Those are definitely good choices.
So I'm going to just start there. And the other thing is I want to encourage your listeners to really drink purified water. And I don't mean coffee, tea, or juices, juice boxes, or just purified water. It's one of the best things that we can do for our body to keep it in equilibrium, to detox naturally, is to drink purified water.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I was curious. I was doing some reading and it said that when you drink the distilled water, obviously you're not getting a lot of the nutrients. But if you're drinking tap water, you're getting a whole bunch of extra stuff that you don't need, from chlorine to fluoride to numerous other things, whatever it happens to pick up along the way through your pipes. So what would you say is the best kind of water to drink?
So there are many water systems that are out there, but I would go for, like what you said, something that will take out most of the junk that's in the tap water, especially the chlorine, but also something that will keep the pH level more onto the alkaline side. And there are different water systems that are out there, which, I want to encourage folks to, because people have different preferences and they have different budgets. So the minimum is do something. And please don't be thinking that bottled water is a good solution, because here's why. A lot of the trucks that carry these bottled waters, they travel from one place to another carrying those crates and crates of bottled water, and it sits in the sun a lot. And what happens is, when these plastic bottles sit in the sun, they leach chemicals into the water.
Right, you can't even taste it.
Oh. Right. But not to say, now they have those bottles that they have those little filters in them. Like if you're traveling, put the empty bottle in your carry-on, and then when you get to the other side, fill it up, because then it'll filter the water you're drinking. If you cannot, if it is unavoidable, and you have nothing else, then that's kind of like the last resort. But there's so many options available now to filter the water that there's no need to buy bottled water. So that,
what filter is the best for?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I know what is the best. I use one system here that's like just a countertop because of a space issue that I use. I'm also looking for another system because this particular system is, getting outdated. So I'm going to be shopping around. So like I said, I think the preferences will is up to the individual, but they can look for different elements. And one of the elements is how much of the toxins are being removed, and preferably it is a little bit more alkaline. So perhaps maybe you guys might do a show on just water alone, because it's it is such a big area. The other thing, which you guys are already doing a lot of, is the nutrition part, which Stephanie is a content expert on. The other part is also, which you guys had a person on the show like last month, Debbie Wetzler.
Yes.
So she introduced you guys, the conversation to a technology about redox signaling, which I also would like to support that, because without the pure water and the redox signaling molecules, none of the nutrients can work as effectively in the cells as it could to reduce the oxidative stress. So that's kind of like a regimen. So if you had a base regimen that's a foundation for your cell, you need the components, 3 components. Redox signaling will take care of the messaging system in your cells and also activate your antioxidants. Those are the 2 big things. The water will detox your cells. And then if you learn from Stephanie, the nutrients that are most important for your body and balance that's kind of like the baseline. Start there. Then you add the movement and the energy, like what Oxana is teaching. That's the next level of the vibration that you want to learn. Because if you don't balance your chakra system and your energy body, that is also not good. It's not just your physical body you have to take care of. You have to take care of your energy body as well.
Yeah, right. That's the first where I go to if I feel off. I go to my chakras. Yeah.
Yes.
And I work on those. But
now I wanted to come to the third part. No, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No.
Okay, so I was going to say, because it was a good, what you were saying was a good segue to go into the third part, because you were saying, when I feel off, I go to my chakra system. See, there's a reason why every single person that's connected to us in one way or another is an expert in a certain thing. Because, like, if I wanted to learn about movement, I would come to you. If I wanted to learn about nutrition, I would go to Stephanie. So you will notice that you start attracting these people who bring in components of all these aspects that we need to stay in balance as an evolutionary human being.
Exactly. I was just posting on Facebook today to two of my friends how I'm thankful for having them walking my path along with me, because it's simply easier. So we attracting people that are in support of, let's just put it, our frequency where we are, because we're all on different evolution paths, different frequencies. Let's just speak in energy terms. That's much easier.
That's right. That's right.
So
and just to give your listeners a flavor, every single individual, including them, are very unique individuals. There's no fixed formula for a person. Just taking an example here, okay? Each one of us, let's say we are exposed to the oxidative stress in our environment. We don't know what it did to us at the DNA level or the molecular level. What it does to me is different from what it does to Stephanie to what it does to Oksana. We have to be in tune with our body, our hearts, our minds to know, okay, this is working for me and this is not. It's almost sometimes a trial and error. You have to see what works for you and what doesn't. But it goes back to this. There's one formula that is the same, which is make a decision, take responsibility, and be empowered. Those three things doesn't change.
Yeah, I call it integrity to yourself.
Yes, integrity with self. Yes.
With self,
yep.
Yeah.
And use the support system. Your radio show is a support system. Listen in every week or whichever week that one can, and learn from the guests that are coming on or from you. So I would encourage listeners who are beginners to have a, when you're in school, how you have like homework or something scheduled, like a schedule, right? Right. So do the homework and stay on schedule. Like, be committed for 30 to 90 days, and you'll be like, oh, my God, this actually works. Because many people in this environment, everybody is, the millennial syndrome. It's called, I text and everything is fast. So you want this fast Band-Aid effect. It doesn't work that way. You have to give it time to have that, I am not the person 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or even a week ago, or yesterday. I'm different.
Exactly.
Yeah. So but every year it gets better. Every year I learn more about myself. Every year I'm more clarity on who I am, what I want to do, and that is what gives us the harmony that we need inside. And when we are harmonious inside, we are harmonious with other people.
I so know that too. It is absolutely it. When you find that harmony within yourself and you know what it is that you're kind of doing in this space, wherever you are.
Right. Like, why am I here?
You become aligned. You become it. You have that direct connection to source, and you don't have you're not getting disbalanced, and you connect with others like that because it's a natural magnetism, just like we are.
The reason, one of the reasons is because people feel overwhelmed, and they're like, you did it, I can't do it, but they can, and that is where our, I know both of you personally, and I know the circles we have as friends and sisters and brothers of this path is that when we get to that place, we can offer the love and support to those who are beginning the journey and tell them, you know, I was there too. You can do it too, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the big purpose of why we decided to do this show, is just because we realized that once we got to this place, well, A, there's a whole bunch left to learn, but B, that there were so many different stepping stones that got us to this point and things that we had to go through and experience to where we could get to this place, to where we can talk to people and help people.
Yeah, and just a personal note that I want to tell both of you is I'm usually the girl behind the scenes. I'm very shy to talk, but I know both of you are so passionate about this that I was like, okay, get over it and just speak from your heart, and it's going to be okay.
Exactly. And guess what? That was pre-planned.
A divine design, right? By divine design.
Trust me.
Yeah, no, I am enjoying this very much, and I cannot say how grateful I am, for this opportunity to share. One of my 10 years ago, one of my friends, who was witnessing what was going on in my life said, "So what do you want to do? What do you want to do?" I just said, something's got to change. Something's got to change. I can't be like this. And so she went over to her refrigerator and got a magnet and said, "This was made for you." And I said, "What do you mean?" So she read it out to me. She said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world, Mahatma Gandhi." And she said, "You want to change? You start first with you." And so, like, charity begins at home. Loving kindness begins at home. Responsibility for ourselves begins with us.
Right.
It's not about changing anybody else. It's just changing us.
Exactly. Exactly. It's actually one of my favorite quotes.
I know, it's so funny. We always come back to that quote at some point in time in the show.
Do you? It was the first one that I received as a gift, from the conscious, memory of when I started this path. Was it.
Nice.
Right. Well, see, here we go. All roads lead to yourself, and as you know yourself, you know what's out there. So, and that's just like my path. I started looking for my happiness much more.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I found my happiness, which was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And that emanates out of you, like you are just like sunshine every time you are, and you're confident about it. But it was a process for you, right? I mean, you went through a process.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So that is the loving hope for your listeners, is to know that it's possible. It's not something that is only reserved for a certain type of person. Everybody can be happy. Everybody can live harmoniously, and it's actually simple. We complicate everything. It's actually simple.
Right. Yeah, and I believe actually how it happens. It takes you. You don't even have to do anything. It takes you, because evolvement, from my experience and practice and going through it, is it gets you. You have no choice. You only have a choice. Do you resist it like I've been, or do you let it go and you go with it?
That's kind of like flowing the evolutionary river of source energy.
I still want to play that game that I actually am not interested to play anymore. But no. And it's hard.
I think, when you're on that path and you've been awakened to it, it's like you, after a little while, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to stop resisting now. all of us resist because we're so programmed that way,
Yeah,
but at least the good news is at some point we're like, okay, I think I better just let go and let this happen the way it's supposed to happen.
It starts to become painful if you don't. You just let it go and let it happen.
Well, yeah, exactly. You start creating more karma, more blocks on your road, and it's not easy. But can we take this to a level of the grid, for example, Shanti?
We are going to do that as soon as we get back.
Can we go there a little bit?
You want to go? Okay, I'm happy to go there. So, so like
one second. Let's get into that as soon as we get back from the commercial break. We have about 3
got it. Okay.
We'll be right back, okay?
Got it. No problem.
Right.
No problem.
Perfect.
Did you see this? The EPA wants to regulate water in our ditches now. Our ditches are dry most of the time. There's hardly ever any water in them. That's enough.
Anyway, there's no water flowing, but the government doesn't care. Once more, the EPA is knocking at our door with a brand new rule. They want to regulate us more. They've tried before, and we said no. Why should they control what doesn't flow? Agriculture's safe, that's what they say. It's what they always say. That's enough, that's enough. Can't take away anymore. That's enough, that's enough. The EPA and the Corps, they will try to justify, but we won't back down. Don't need more government anyway. That's enough, that's enough. No more power play. That's enough, that's enough. We won't back away. What can we do to ditch the rule? Tell the EPA. Don't need more government anyway.
Tell the EPA it's time to ditch the rule. Ditchtherule.fb.org. This is a message from the Missouri Farm Bureau. Contact them at 573-893-1558.
I like the way you grow it, no pesticides. I got to box it up. Yeah. I like the way you grow it, so locally. I got to box it up. I like the way you grow it with no GMOs. I like the way you twerk it, no diggity, no doubt.
We've got squash and peas, pollinator packs for all your bees. Melons you wanna squeeze. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Hey, now that plant looks good. I want to grow it. I want to taste it. Yeah. Tomatoes in full effect. Always in full effect. My girl Tilly's in full effect. Yeah. Peaceful belly plant, yeah. 2014.
Search YouTube for Freaks of the Garden. PeacefulBelly.com. Support your local organic farmers.
Solutions to delusions. How do you do this? Well, join me every Friday night on the Delusion Solution radio show from 6 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time and 9 to 12 midnight Eastern Time right here on the Freedomizer Network, where we will be discussing and discerning the times by making sense of current events and bringing to light much-needed topics. Our calling number is 347-324-3704 to listen in. Watching with your ears and listen with your eyes. I'm your host, Tara Dawn, and I'll see you there.
Please learn more about Freedomizer Radio by going to freedomizerradio.com and also Facebook us right at freedomizerradio.com. Catch you there.
All right, guys, we are back with our special guest, Shanti-Elizabeth. You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening to a word from our sponsors. Now, Oksana, before we went on break, you were asking Shanti a question, so I'm going to let you go right back to that.
Well, I wanted to go a little bit more into the grid, how we interact and how we affect each other. Can we go into that a little bit more?
Sure, Oksana. Yeah, I can give you the perspective as I understand it, because out of the 10 years that, I say 10 years because approximately 10 years is when I went through my awakening process, and I could say about 4.5 of the first 4.5 years had to deal with a lot of detoxification and getting my energy body in alignment to what my soul purpose was. And this is the first time I'm talking about it on a show. So I felt that I've been given a divine directive to help with the planet's grids. If you can imagine, we are, like I said, our physical body is also a grid. We are energetically at the subatomic level energy. So the planet has her energy points, and you may be familiar with reading with a lot of people who talk about crystalline grids and the energetic grids around the planet and their power points around the planets. Like, our chakra system, the planet also has her chakra systems where, and you might ask, well, why is it important? Because just like our body is a living system, the planet is also a living system. So just like the oxidative stress on our body, she's also experiencing this because we are not, living in a way in harmony with her. So 5 years ago, I was given the guidance to start working with the grids around the planet to energetically hold the energy of light and integrity and love to help her as she is ascending with the shifts. And, so remember how you were saying going with the flow and it's not really up to us once we kind of, don't resist it.
Yeah.
Well, that to me, what happened was because I was really, nervous about experiencing this, but I was resisting it, but it was like in my face. So letting go to that flow, Yeah, it was. It will take many shows to explain the synchronicities that came to play for me to take this on. But one of the things is that, we as human beings, we've been blessed with what's called free will, and that is the freedom to choose. And if you want to embark on a path where you want to live your soul's purpose and the divine design of why you're here, you have to give up that free will to truly be liberated. True freedom comes from surrendering that free will to that divine intelligence that knows everything. That's what that resistance and going with the flow is about. When you're going with the flow, you're surrendering your free will to say, okay, there's something that is higher than me that is saying I need to pay attention to this and go in this direction.
Right. You will, what I've noticed, you go in circles and circles, and then you realize, I am on my way. I am standing on my own way. And the thing is, giving up that, not necessarily giving up. It literally, yes, it's giving up, but it's
gaining a lot more.
Yeah, it's like
that's why I like to use the word freedom. Is something that people mistake in when they have free will to say, hey, I can choose, I am free. Actually, not really. Because when you co-create with the divine, you are liberating yourself. That's the true freedom.
Well, because
yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that is a place where you need to come from when you have to embark on a divine purpose or divine work. And any person you speak to that are, they're either, if they're doing something in a healing modality or any vibrational work or sound healing, it doesn't matter what it is. Every single person will tell you that, not every single, but most people will say, I have a story behind this of how I got here, and that is what ties in to say, okay, at some point, every single person gave up their free will to say, hey, there's something bigger than me here that I need to do. And that's how the grid work started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
so over the course of the last 5 years, the guidance that came for me is primarily from the angelic realm and the ascended master realm, and that's just going into a big, wide topic, which we can go on. But just if those who are interested, they can do a Google search and see what that is. But I work with sacred flames and sacred energies, and the guidance that. I'm sorry?
You describe the grid. I guess you're going into more of a description of the grid, right?
Yeah, so I have to kind of like set the conversation to get to the grid, because you have to. It's not just me doing it. I'm just a vehicle to allow the energies that are coming in to assist with the grid around the planet. So the guidance was given on where to go and what to do. And there's some astro alignments that happen, because, for instance, when the equinoxes happen, when the solstices happen, those are kind of windows when these energies come in, and there are these power portals that you can go to. Very simple, like Sedona, Arizona is one of them. People are very familiar with Sedona, but that there are these vortices in Sedona that people go and work with, because they are guided to go there to hold some energies to help the planet to bring in more light. So, and you might ask, well, why is that? So if you can imagine a network, of energies around the planet, because of what's going on right now, and you going back to the word shift, there are these energies that are coming in that is allowing a higher vibration or elevation from one vibration to another that is happening as part of Earth's evolution. And our bodies are going through the same thing. So many people are, divinely called to assist in the process because we are in the 3D density and we have to bring in those energies through our vehicles. I mean, we have to listen to our guidance and assist in that process through, a lot of people do ceremonies, do sacred work to hold that grid in place at that moment to allow that shift to happen. So that is just a very, very simplistic explanation of, what happens, because it's very intricate and different with each person. And, I felt I've done my part in the last 5 years in following the guidance to do what needs to do, because every single person is part of it. Like you were saying, we're not separate. So whatever effort one person does helps the collective, helps humanity as a whole, helps the planet as a whole.
So what you're saying is, due to the all the events that's been happening around the world, all the wars, all the hate, all the negative, even in relationships, all the negative, responses and acting on your shadows without conscious observation. So that side is pretty much a little bit heavier than the other side. Is that what you're saying? It's because of this harmony, the grid is needed to bring a little bit more light into space where it's not enough of it there. Is that what you're saying?
As I understand it, in these like since 2012, for instance, 2012 was a big, it's almost like, okay, let's get a clean blackboard, and now we are recreating a new way of being. So it was almost like that calendar ended, and now we are on this new cycle. And in every year since 2012, it's almost like year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. So you can imagine, like a baby, when they're a baby, you have to, take care of the baby and give it what it needs. So just like that, it's not like you will see there's still a lot of atrocious things going on around the world, but there is there's underneath it all, there are new things that are happening, perhaps maybe in 100 years. I don't know, because I don't know, haven't done, that's not my area of expertise, but my belief is that everything that we're doing right now affects the future generation, and that we are giving every opportunity for the next generations to experience that light. And right now we are in a window where we have all incarnated to assist, to help in some way or another. We're not just living in a time of the darkness, back in the days when everybody was just about, it's like there are more people who are wanting to be conscious. It's not just one person or two people. There's a following of people who are saying enough is enough. Let's all all live together in peace. The movement for peace is a lot bigger now. And it's at grassroots. Yeah, but even if it's at grassroots, my point is like, so what? So what? Why don't we just do it at grassroots and live that way and do what we are guided to do? There's so many people who are.
It's really the only way to do it, honestly.
It is the only way to do it. And the thing is, like I said, this is the first time I'm talking about that on a show, because as you both know me really well, I keep it very low key, because I feel that it is something that I just have to do behind the scenes, what I'm guided to do, because that's my devotion, is to help the planet.
I've gone through the same thing. I'm sure, Stephanie, the same thing. I've been extremely private person. In my personal life. And now I'm on the show talking about it. Oh my gosh. And talking about what we do is another level. Yeah. So I think I got to a point of I'm done with carrying two hats in my hands, I
got tired of coming up with words to use when I talk to them. Like, how do I explain this in your terms?
Yeah.
If that's
The reason is also
Mhm.
because when you say grid, for instance, this topic too is a huge topic, and there are many people who are teachers and they do workshops and so forth. But the only point is you don't have to be a teacher or doing workshops to do this work. For instance, the fact that you took the courage, both of you had the courage to say it's time for us to talk about this and put this program together. That is it. That is also part of the energy grid that we are part of. We have to help people not only become balanced in their spiritual path, but also how can we make this happen for each person? There's so many people who are depressed. So many people who want to do something, but they just don't know what to do. And it doesn't matter who's listening right now, even if it's, just a fraction of people. Whoever's listening to this show is listening to it for a reason.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't happen if you both didn't make that choice to say, I'm going to do it. That's your divine design.
Sure.
By design, you said, yes, I'm going to do this.
So that's how everyone makes the decisions. To us, if we feel if I feel something in my heart, typically something would come to match that. Whether it's, I'm going through my path, and I'm typically, right now I try to not go too much into the future, and certainly not go too much into the past, and live my life in the now when it comes to just, more of a personal life. When it comes to work, it's still a different story.
Right.
But, so, and as I live in the now, I where I was going with this, I don't know.
Well, I think I do understand what you're saying, Oksana. With you were speaking about the grid, and so let's just take a moment. The work part, that's a systematic grid that we live in right now. Before,
yes.
My personal hope is that we will evolve into a grid or systematic situation where we're all living in peace and we have time to be who we are, not just work, and
right, exactly.
Just,
that's where I was going.
So
right.
It's an evolution, but we still live in a system where we have to, have a mechanism to come home with the resources to live. But perhaps that what all our souls are desiring is to evolve into a system where we live in peace and have a very unique expression of who we are. And it's not about accumulation of wealth. It's not about, living in the biggest house. It's about living peacefully, living in a more simple way, living without being controlled, right. Being able to live how we want to live.
Right.
So, that shift. Yeah, so that shift is happening. That shift is happening. So that's how to translate. In living in the present moment means really listening to your heart and living from your heart. And making the choices that we need at this present moment. There are some things, for instance, we have to pay the bills. That's in a set timetable. It kind of, we kind of know what we have to do. We are not anymore controlled by, the systematic, that means not living unconsciously, or just because that person did it, I have to do that. No, that's not the way. We are conscious. We make conscious choices.
Or the concept of punishment, it's
right.
I definitely understand when something is very, very close to your heart and it's being, something is happening to it and you have to react. Yes, it's a choice I don't want to make, but we do it on a massive level to other people constantly.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of the people who are on this path will say, I don't really watch TV or the news anymore, or I don't keep up with that, because they've diverted. They're now going into another direction. and living off of another grid. You know, they don't resonate anymore with the old system or the old way of thinking. That's the grid. That's the matrix. That is an old way of existing. And no matter how much you push it and whatever, that's what it is that, but it is still, we're not quite separate from that matrix yet because we live in that system, but how we respond or how we exist in that is different, you know?
It has changed. And those are the shifts. Yeah.
Yes. So it is very difficult to articulate what exactly it is, but a lot of people who are experiencing it can say, wow, I understand what you're saying, because they resonate with it, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So I you know, when I came back from September from France for one of the grid work, I was surprised. Usually I will know like what the next step is. And when I asked specifically, they said, your body is your next grid. You know, you have to work on your body. You need to bring more light into you need to be able to stabilize and hold the light in your body. That was that's what I got.
So the next step will be to come to my class.
Yes, I need to come to your class.
Yes, I will be actually posting very soon, either posting or emailing local people for first 2 classes, and I will receive feedback, and then I will establish schedule and move forward. And I'm excited
because you know what's happening is that with all the stuff that is happening, many people are awakening, and many people are going to come and say, "Can you help me? You know, help me do this, because I don't know." They won't know. They won't even know why they're coming to you for movement classes to help with. You know, to get aligned. Stephanie's going to not know why are people coming now in droves to learn about nutrition and herbs and, you know, how to use all these options that we have that we don't even pay attention to. Right. So but it's almost like a recipe, right? Like making bread, you know, like you need the nutrition, you need the movement, you need the purified water, you need the redox and more. I don't know what other technologies are going to come, because I think there are all these new things that are going to come that is going to help us live in a cleaner way, just like clean energy, clean, you know, ways to you know, operate our cars and our homes. There are going to be options that are coming in that we're going to be like, oh my God, you know.
I bet.
Back in the days, I don't know, you know. Yeah, but think about it. Like back in the days when somebody just said, oh, they came up with something called email. Everybody was like, what? You're telling me that you can talk to somebody else through this electronic, whatever that you're calling it? Or cell phone, you know, like when they carried around those big cell phones, they're like, are you crazy? But now what is it? Just like that.
I remember when all I had was a pager.
Yeah, so these technologies are, yes. So I feel that when I meditate, I always meditate on I have a little marble that's called a gratitude marble. I always meditate with a gratitude marble for the planet and say, you know, let the technologies that can help us clean the planet up come as quickly as possible, you know, because it can happen. It is what we visualize this planet to be. I choose to be in a harmonious planet that lives in peace, that's clean in our environment. But the way you look at it right now, this is not the environment, but I choose not to believe that. I choose that the healing can happen for the planet.
Right. And I mean, there is that, because some people are speaking of the concept that the planet is fine, it's rejuvenating itself, you know, you just need to concentrate mainly on yourself, which there is something to it as well, because if we were to concentrate on ourselves and clean ourselves, or
we will naturally clean the planet. Yep.
Exactly.
That goes back to the part where I say focus on your grid. Right? What's your grid?
Your personal grid, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, personal grid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And the planet will evolve on itself. Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean, so I guess that goes back to the summary of what, you know, what this talk was about: wellness, body, mind, soul, and the soul evolution. In a nutshell, is taking care of your grid, and using the tools and the expertise that are available to make that decision, take responsibility, you know, and move on with the program. Get on the program. You know, you know, anybody who complains, I'm like, okay, you know, no, thank you. I don't, you know.
Would you say that you, as you work on the grid on an energetical level, cellular level, it affects certain souls to get closer to the evolution point for themselves? Does that help?
It has already happened. For instance, it happened to an individual that I was in meditation with on January 1st. He got activated, and he just knows now he has this purpose and he has to fulfill. And we have a soul agreement, and he was there. And he came for the equinox ceremony where we did a Metatronic grid to, and specifically to bring in the energy of abundance, of just expanding the energy of love, because I believe in everything. Love is the energy of abundance for everything.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's a relationship or if you ask people, what do you want? They'll say, I want more money and a good relationship. That's kind of like the top two. But what is that? What is that? That is bringing in the energy of love within yourself, you know? So that was the focus on that work, was just, okay, let's expand the energy within ourselves to love ourselves even more, you know? And if I love myself, I would want to take care of my body. I would want to take care of my mind. I would want to take care of my spirit. That's the natural outcome.
And Stephanie and I, we just talked about self-love before the show very quickly, where, you know, a lot of times you would ask, do you love yourself? And, of course, automatic answer by a lot of people would be, of course I love myself. But when you ask them, do you really love yourself? Because it's actually not that easy. Because we have been taught not to do that since we were born.
Right. Deprogramming, we have to, you know, to how you say, deprogram, like, you know, because the programs are running, is a layered process. So one of the things we have to do in that self-love process is we cannot beat ourselves up when things come up. The only thing and you will realize it, is that when things come up, as you work through that, you can resolve it quicker than you did before, because now you know, I recognize this thing. This is something asking me to pay attention to whatever that issue is, and you realize that you get through the resolution much faster than before, when it would take like months for you to recognize that was even an issue, or that is happening. That person showed up so that you can see how much, which part of your life you're not loving. So,
well,
so when they say,
the
trigger,
points.
Yeah, and you know, before I used to get, I was like, oh, no. Now I say, okay, at least I know now where I need to keep working on myself, and I stop beating myself up. Yeah, because that's one of the automatic things we do. We tend to beat ourselves up.
Yep.
So to being gentle with ourselves is one of the ways to really love ourselves, is to say, okay, I realize this happened. Okay, I'm going to just, you know, take a deep breath, and I'm not going to beat myself about this, because the next time it happens, I'm going to be consciously aware of it, and I'm going to be more mindful how I handle it. And sometimes when it's happening, we cannot control it because we are emotional beings, and that happens, you know.
Well, let's go to a last break very quickly, and we'll come back for a couple of minutes. And yeah, let's go for a break.
Thank
One
you.
second.
Okay.
Sure.
How would you like to make your work more enjoyable, be more creative and relaxed, all while sitting at your desk? That's exactly what my Serenity rug has done for me. This revolutionary footrest, I can't even call it a footrest because this thing encourages movement of your feet, which results in more blood flow. While traditional footrests advocate the motionless placement of your feet, I found that I'm unconsciously digging my feet into the long, soft grass strands of the Serenity rug. It delivers an incredibly relaxing sensation that closely resembles the feeling of an exotic foot massage. If you have ever had a foot massage that made you want to stay there for hours, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not heard about the Serenity Rug, check them out at serenityrug.com and join the exclusive Serenity Rug community and enjoy a feeling of comfort and relaxation that most will never experience. They've sold out before, so I suggest you do your feet a favor and grab one of these. Again, that's serenityrug.com.
I like the way you grow it, no pesticide. I got to box it up. I like the way you grow it, so locally. I got to box it up. I like the way you grow it with no GMOs. I like the way you twerk it, no diggity, no doubt.
We've got squash and peas, pollinator packs for all your bees. Melons you wanna squeeze. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Hey, now that plant looks good. I wanna grow it, I wanna taste it. Tomatoes in full effect. Always in full effect. My girl Tilly's in full effect. Yeah. Peaceful Belly Plant Sale 2014. Yeah.
Search YouTube for Freaks of the Garden. PeacefulBelly.com. Support your local organic farmers.
All right, we are back. Shanti, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful.
Okay. So we are back, and we are going to be wrapping up with Shanti-Elizabeth for tonight. Shanti, it was such a wonderful time to spend with you on the radio, one, and two, such important information that you've been presented tonight, and we were able to get a little bit more into, the details of the structure of the body that reflects the structure of the outer space. Let's just put it that way. I definitely learned some things from you tonight, and I'm sure I will be learning more. So what would you like to say as a last note for us and the guests?
First of all, I want to say thank you to you and Stephanie for this invitation to share a little bit of my perspective, and to the main reason I felt called to come on today was to share that every person has a purpose and a reason to be here and now, right now, and that we all have a responsibility, and that lovingly to make that decision if you feel called to it, to evolve in the direction to become a more balanced individual, so that we can help other people do the same. So I continue this path of learning and helping as much as I can with what I know. And I know that, just from knowing you and Stephanie, that we all three are very aligned in the same thinking and the spiritual understanding of what is transpiring. So I feel very grateful to be part of your lives, and thank you. And yeah, I'm glad that I was able to, share that piece today.
Yeah.
Shanti, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And we'll definitely try and have you back on maybe later this summer to talk about more stuff and more shifts that are going on.
Thank you. I'll be very grateful to be on. Thank you.
Great. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye, Shanti.
All right, take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Shanti. Bye-bye. All right. So that was
another
very,
great
very
guest
good.
speaker.
I know. It was wonderful. Well, I guess right now is the time for our last little piece of the show is our homework.
It's homework time.
Yes, and we are going to tie it to the previous show when we asked for our audience to I guess recognize a situation where you are with another person. It can be anyone really, and you are being triggered. You don't feel right when you are in an attempt to respond back. You're not in a harmony. You feel it. So that's what was the homework last time. I believe maybe not last time. I'm sorry, not last time, but the one of the.
That was a few weeks ago when we were talking to Sherry Young.
Oh, Cherie, that's right.
Yes.
So, and today's homework would like to tie it to that one, where that happens, and you sense that feeling, and try to trace that feeling to where it goes. Just go as deep as you can. It could take you to a time in your life. It could take you to a certain feeling, and that certain feeling can take you to a certain event in your life. It can be in your childhood. A lot of times it's in the childhood zone, time frame, or it can be a little later than that also. Usually it will take you deeper and deeper, and a lot of times it takes a couple of times. So I think that's very helpful to practice.
Right.
Or to
really
be able
just
to
dig into the root of the problem, pretty much. Figure out exactly where it came from, because it's hard to address things in your life if you don't know where they're coming from. So
because
I think this is really important homework.
Yeah, you're reacting to things a certain way, and you're not understanding why you're reacting to them a certain way. If it's disturbing to you, if it's not in harmony. So yeah. So how's that? Is that good?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, and I hope you will be back with us next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on freedomizerradio.com. And everybody have a great week.
Yes, I am wishing everyone a good night, and would like to say that we are leaving you with a piece of music, and we will see you next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a good night, everyone.